Be in the know with unlimited access to IBJ and Inside Indiana Business. Our in-depth coverage of all things business means you'll always be completely in the know. Subscribe for just $1 a week. Get started now at ibj.com/trial offer.
This is the IBJ podcast for the week of March 30th, 2026, brought to you by Taft. I'm your host, Mason King. Welcome back to the podcast, everybody. Our guest today is Mitch Daniels, who needs little introduction, so we'll zip through the bullet points. After a storied career as a top executive for Eli Lilly and Company and director of the Federal Office of Management and Budget during the George W. Bush administration, Daniels served as governor of Indiana from early 2005 to early 2013. He then began a 10-year tenure as president of Purdue University, which ended on January 1st, 2023. Of the many, many topics for which Daniels could be considered an expert, higher education is the subject of our discussion this week. Barely a month after Daniels' departure, Purdue named its business school after its former president, creating the Mitchell E. Daniels Jr. School of Business, and embarking on changes in its curriculum to emphasize technology and elements of a classical education. Daniels maintains some involvement in the business school's evolution and is particularly interested in the growth of its programs in downtown Indianapolis, following the split of IUPUI that he championed late in his presidency. In this week's podcast, we cover those developments and their potential benefits for Indianapolis. We then take a deeper dive into the ways artificial intelligence is threatening to disrupt the market for white-collar jobs, and particularly entry-level positions. And we also explore one of the biggest political, academic, and economic debates of the last decade. What is the value of a college degree? And then, just for good measure, we run through his ideas for fixing Social Security. One more thing I want to mention. Daniels mentions early on that he has been working on a book since leaving Purdue. We didn't have enough time to get into it, but I do want to flag it for you. It's called Impatience is a Virtue: A Life Where the Buck Stops, and it will be available in September. It's a memoir of his involvement in America's public, private, and nonprofit sectors. Now here's our conversation. It's my pleasure to welcome to the podcast Mitch Daniels, former governor of the state of Indiana and president emeritus of Purdue University. Governor, thank you for making time today.
Glad to be here.
There's one bit of news regarding your successor I want to address quickly. Current Purdue president Meng Sheng was doused with water over the weekend by the Purdue basketball team after their victory over the University of Miami. If you were still president at Purdue, would you condone that kind of behavior?
Oh, I did things a lot crazier than that. And so, yes, of course. I hope he or somebody gets doused, 3 more times.
So bring us up to date. Since leaving Purdue 3 years ago, quickly, what have been your priorities? How have you been spending your time?
I've been saying yes to old friends who came around after I, stopped working 70, 80 hours a week and said, now you got time to be on that board. Now you got time to help our good cause or give that speech you couldn't give. So been a lot of that. I wrote a book, which took a lot of time, was really a good halfway house from full-time work because it felt obligated anytime I had spare time to work on it. So it filled all the spare hours for quite a long while.
How involved are you still in helping advance the vision of the university, and in particular, the Daniels School of Business?
First of all, I'm very sensitive to the whole idea of continued involvement. In business and elsewhere, I long ago become an adherent of the when you're gone school. I'd seen chief executives stick around in some fashion where it was not positive. But at the school's insistence and my successor's insistence, I agreed to maintain a part of the job, which was chairman of the Purdue Research Foundation, until such time as Mung comes to his senses and reclaims it. And I'm glad to do things on request. And yes, the business school has made a number of those requests, which I'm very eager to do. I'm very excited to see the Dean Bullard and his team moving so effectively on a concept that we got started, which was not only to build a bigger business school, but one somewhat different that has as its core a belief in free institutions and free markets, and believes that's the both the moral and the effective way to lift people up in a free society. And furthermore, as part of that, to build into the business curriculum a degree of the humanities, reading, writing, history, great literature. These are tools I think tomorrow's business leaders will need it maybe more even than in recent years. Where I can help them pursue that mission, I've been glad to do it.
Great. Okay, and we'll touch on some of that here in a minute. So one of the major accomplishments late in your tenure as Purdue president was to work with IU President Pamela Whitten to split IUPUI, the collaborative institution for the two universities in downtown Indianapolis, into distinct entities. So now we have Indiana University, Indianapolis, and we have Purdue University in Indianapolis, which is an extension of Purdue's main campus in West Lafayette. Remind us, why did you think that was in Purdue's best interest?
I thought it was in the state's best interest. Yes, Purdue's, but the state's, certainly the city of Indianapolis's best interest, and I think in IU's too. We could quickly cite a host of examples from business in which companies were divided and the resulting pieces each became more successful than they were as part of a merged whole. And I think you've already seen that here. I think it's proven to be better for Purdue and for IU, and I'll always be grateful to President Whitten for being open to the idea. The idea from Purdue's standpoint is, first of all, to create an opportunity for more growth. We had grown so fast at the West Lafayette campus that to grow much further would begin to lose the character of the place, particularly at the walkability, the ability to get places without a car and in a reasonable time period. But secondly, very importantly, to be able to offer more employment, contacts, and opportunities to that very large student body. I had heard for so long, people in the Indianapolis metro business community would say to me, "Man, we love your graduates. How could we get earlier exposure to them and bring them on as interns and then maybe eventually employees?" And this enables that to happen and is already happening. So I think that it's off to a great start. Incidentally, I think is one of the best things that's happened lately to the downtown Indianapolis community. And eventually, I hope, a few thousand very bright, purposeful young people studying and living here put a lot of life back in downtown, and we'll all benefit from that.
So there are a few examples that I'm aware of, and maybe you can expand on them. So there is Purdue's Integrated Business and Engineering program, which I believe launched this last fall.
This program actually started a few years ago. It's in about its fourth or fifth year now. It seizes what we thought was a pretty obvious opportunity, first of all, for our engineering students, and we're graduating more engineers than anybody in the country now, to leave not only with technical skills, but with some sense of business, the business realities that they otherwise might have to learn on the job somewhere. And working back the other way, an opportunity for other students to leave with at least a degree of the STEM knowledge that's a part of almost every job these days. It's been augmented in the last year or two with a first in the nation AI requirement. This is for everybody at Purdue now. We'll need to produce an AI-related project. You could be in fine arts, but there's still you'll still need to know how to use artificial intelligence to be better and more productive at your chosen pursuit.
I didn't realize that was school-wide. I thought maybe that was just for business.
No, it's meant to be comprehensive, and I think it needs to be. Unless AI is going to take us over and dictate to us, which we all hope will not happen, we're going to need people in the economy, everybody in the economy, to know how to use it as a tool to do things that those of us who preceded them would not have known how to do.
There's another program, and I may be wrong on the time of this one, but the Daniels School, I believe, plans to continue to bring its undergraduate and graduate programs to Indianapolis to better connect students, as you said, to industry in the capital city. And there's a master's in business technology that will be instituted when?
This coming year, I believe. It's as ASAP is the answer to any question you ask at Purdue University. Our answer is going to be as fast as we can get there. And no, I mean, the appetite, the clamor of businesses in the Indy metro for Purdue talent has been there a long time. And so this makes excellent sense. We did start with just engineering and computer science, but we knew as quickly as possible business had to come right behind that. And again, as your previous question illustrates, these are not either-or decisions anymore. I think tomorrow's business leaders will have to have a grasp of technology. Every job involves it, as well as the tools we've always associated with business management.
Would I, as an undergraduate, be able to get my degree entirely in Indianapolis?
Yes.
Oh.
And I think that's going to happen. There are some students who would prefer an urban campus environment. My own view, and my own hope at least, is that the more common pattern will be students who come to West Lafayette for 2-3 years, get the experience and all the other things that can go with that. Not just the intellectual preparation, but the chance to lead campus organizations, socialize others with large numbers of very diverse people, but then come to Indianapolis to finish. We'll see. It'll all be based on what the customer, that is to say the student, thinks is best. But I think it'll be a mix, but yes, it'd be fully possible for a student to spend all 4 years here. Incidentally, the students that are here now are frequently going to campus for a course or 2 or 3. We have 8 buses a day, 8 round trips, making that 1-hour trip, and every bus is full. And so pretty soon that 8 won't be enough. And so it's absolutely our conception that this is one campus. Requirements for admission are just the same. The requirements for graduation are just the same. The standards, the quality of the faculty. It's not a regional campus, and that's a crucial distinction.
So I currently couldn't get my undergraduate degree entirely in Indianapolis, but I soon will be.
If you started this year, you could.
I could.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. And then another example is Purdue's executive education programs. I understand that's in Indianapolis now.
It is, and once again, there was unmet need or unmet demand for that. So we moved rather quickly on it. There were plainly lots of employees in Indianapolis businesses who were looking for further education, had to go somewhere else to find it, and now it's here on their doorstep.
Is anything else of consequence planned at the moment for Indianapolis operations of the business?
Oh, lots, but stand by.
Okay, sounds good. So a couple of weeks ago, our guest was Jamie Merisotis, who you know is the CEO of Lumina Foundation, which is dedicated to helping provide access to higher education and studying the ways higher education can prepare the future workforce. So in light of the speed with which artificial intelligence is advancing, a lot of our conversation was based on how higher education must undergo a radical transformation. It's very common now to hear predictions that AI tools will reduce demand for entry-level white-collar jobs. These jobs would include software engineers, financial analysts, accountants, market researchers, human resources analysts. So you touched on this before, but do you have a sense of what the Daniels School of Business is doing to prepare students for the workplace that is adopting AI at an incredible rate?
None of us knows exactly where this is leading. One hopes it is not to the sort of scenarios that many people have predicted for a long time, in which the machines sort of take over and Homo sapiens become disposable or house pets or these sorts of scenarios. I think the best way to approach the situation with all its imponderables is to try to prepare tomorrow's leaders to not to be replaced by AI, but to use it so effectively that they can't be replaced. And again, at Purdue, we think that runs the entire gamut of tools that are, whether they're preparing for aeronautical engineering or aviation or hotel management. To be able to become more productive oneself through expert utilization of these tools as they develop, I suspect is the best safeguard against your job going away.
Okay. Let's take a quick break to hear from our sponsor. This is the IBJ Podcast.
Taft, today's modern law firm. At Taft, we cultivate a highly respectful, transparent workplace that fosters creativity, teamwork, inclusion, and diversity. We couple our culture with a client-first approach, rewarding lawyers who understand their clients' goals and work to deliver success. Taft, the modern law firm. To learn more, visit taftlaw.com.
Spring is coming, and that means it's time to bring your backyard back to life. At Indy Grills, we design and build custom outdoor living spaces that turn your patio into the best room of the house. From stamped concrete patios to cozy outdoor fireplaces to fully custom outdoor kitchens built for grilling, gathering, and entertaining, we do it all. We handle everything from design to build, and we're known for doing it one way. Built fast, built right, on time, and on budget. So before summer fills up, start now. Visit indygrills.com and schedule your outdoor living consultation today. Indy Grills. This is where spring begins.
All right, we're back with this week's episode of the IBJ Podcast and my interview with Mitch Daniels about the value of a college degree. So I'm going to ask this question as a concerned uncle. So I have a nephew who is a senior in the School of Business. He is studying finance, and I think he has a 3.3. He's doing pretty well.
3.3 means something at Purdue University.
Yeah.
Not to detour, but great inflation has been an issue in higher ed for a very long time. And the average citizen might be astonished to know what the average GPA is at some big-name universities. And you ask yourself, 3.8, 3.9, you say, well, how bad does a student have to be to get a, B or a C?
Exactly. So he's doing well. Given how fast AI is embedding itself in white-collar professions, especially like finance, how relevant is that degree going to be in 5 years?
I can't answer that, except by restating something we just talked about, that someone who understands the importance of finance and its role in a successful enterprise and can master and use these tools can, one hopes, make herself or himself indispensable. But I have no doubt that even if that's the case for your nephew, 10 years from now, there'll be a different set of questions and a different set of challenges that no university today can foresee or fully prepare a kid for.
That to me is the most discombobulating thing about it, is when we think about when he was a freshman at Purdue, ChatGPT was not available. And in the intervening years, it is the basis of change in his profession. Or, if maybe 4 or 5 years ago, my brother might have been telling him, you really need to go into coding. Because, to be successful in business, you're going to need to know how to code. And now suddenly you don't. Suddenly ChatGPT will do your coding for you. So it's bewildering. And I think as somebody who has a younger kid who's really into math, I feel like I have no idea how to guide him.
You tell him to stick to math.
Okay.
I think one thing we know is that that's a great grounding. It's also proven proposition that those students who stick with math, even if it doesn't become part of their vocation later on, have achieved a level of mental discipline and so forth that shows up in other skills.
I have a wider question about higher ed that might sound a little bit the same. So there's been a lot of emphasis in post-secondary education for at least the last 15 years, as I'm sure you knew as governor. Reasons not to go to college, to get a degree. Everyone knows the cost of college is prohibitively high for some families. Educators and workforce leaders are encouraging graduates, high school graduates, to pursue careers in the trades as an alternative entree into the middle class, with the added benefit that the trade work is more human work. In some political circles, colleges have been criticized as elitist, or as propaganda machines for certain political points of view. Have we gone too far in the direction of, I guess, the technical term is poo-pooing the value of a college degree?
Probably. I thought you were going to ask, have we gone too far in promoting college for everybody mentality?
Answer both sides of it.
Yeah. Well, my answer to that question is yes, we probably did. I think for a long time, the notion that bachelor's degree was the essential passport to a successful or middle-class life was overstated. And a lot of young people did go to college or try to go through college, but some too often unsuccessfully, for whom there was a better path. There's still an awful lot of work, and I think opportunity there, by the way. I frequently have to point out to people there are twice as many Americans who started college and didn't finish than all the kids on all the four-year campuses that we concentrate on, something close to 40 million such people. And we can't forget about them. In fact, we have to view them as a big opportunity. This is why Purdue entered what I always think of as the next evolution of the land-grant mission, land-grant universities like Purdue being there to open the doors of higher ed wider. These days, you can't stop at age 24, so we founded Purdue Global, which is for adult learners. And are graduating now, I don't know what it is, 12,000, 13,000 people a year who otherwise would not get that degree. Yes, first of all, I think we oversold college for everybody, and it didn't work out as well as it might have. And I think we've undersold the value of continuing education, or at least not mastered the ways to help people do that or come back to education when they're ready for it, when they have a foothold in a job and now need to become better skilled at it. Now, you said, have we gone too far in denigrating the idea of it, higher ed? I think that's a threat too. But for the moment, I don't think it's unhealthy to at least make certain the young people are thinking about other ways forward. And by the way, just because you don't go to college right out of high school, maybe you go get some work experience, makes a better student of you if you come back. And we have ways now for people to come back.
Mm. My editor suggested this question, and it's kind of open-ended. What is the value of a college degree?
Depends entirely on how the student pursues it. We did some research with the Gallup people years ago, and the largest survey ever taken of college graduates, and then tried to back out of that. What was common for the successful ones? What was common about their college experience? And the short summation of a lot of data was it doesn't matter where you go; it matters how you go. So, for those students who really apply themselves, I would say that includes studying difficult subjects, challenging oneself, hopefully at a school that doesn't make it easy for everybody to skate through, and value, as I always point out to people, is an equation. And so it's not just about price. Yes, we held the price of a Purdue education down, have now for a long time. That's a huge part of it. But the equation is quality over price. So the quality matters as much or more. And where one finds and makes for oneself a high-quality college education at a reasonable price, yeah, I think the value is absolutely still there, and we shouldn't overreact and as you said, poo-poo it.
What is the value of a college graduate to the state of Indiana?
On balance, these are more productive people. Productivity is the most important variable in an economy. This is why AI holds a lot of promise, along with its threats. It promises to make people in work of all kinds more productive. That's how a free society becomes wealthier and lifts people, offers the opportunity for upward mobility that should be our number one goal as a society. To me, it's It's not the be-all and end-all. Some people count college grads and the percentage of college grads as though we're the dictator of success or the determinant of success. It's not the only one. People without a degree can contribute enormously. Look at the people who've created fantastic companies and never finished college, created all kinds of jobs and wealth for others. But no, as one marker, in recent years, more college grads have moved into Indiana than out. That's a reversal of a pattern that bothered a lot of us 20 years ago. And a lot of work has gone into trying to first arrest and then reverse it.
Are the programs that Purdue is offering, the business programs is offering or plans offering downtown, is that a way to keep the graduate in state?
You bet. I don't want to overstate this. We still have a lot of work to do, a lot of diversifying of our economy to become a place that attracts top talent with or without that degree attached. And yet we're definitely in a better place than we were a couple decades ago. And I've urged people now for quite a long time, and yes, Purdue saw this as part of our assignment, to begin thinking more about brain gain than brain drain. And absolutely, when you see the quality, half the students at Purdue come from somewhere else.
Outside of Indiana.
Outside of Indiana, yes. Yep. We're educating more Hoosiers than we ever have because the school's 30% bigger. But we're having it both ways because we also have room now for an incredible number of enormously talented kids. And believe me, if you get into Purdue from California or Illinois or anywhere else, you got to be very good because it's harder to get in from there. And anything we can do to keep those kids here is this is the most straightforward way I can think of to gain the brains we want, college graduates in this case.
Okay. I know you're a numbers guy. I was hoping that we would have time to fix Social Security, but unless you've got a really quick idea, we're going to have to call
Well, I can be quick.
Do it.
We have to do it, or we're going to betray the promises made by politicians of both parties who have misled the American people, first of all, about what Social Security is. No, it's not your money you're getting back. Your children or the people working today are paying the money that you're going to take out. And so it's essential that we do this in a way that protects the vulnerable, the people who really need it. So here are three things to start with. We ought to means test it. There's no reason to send Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos a Social Security check. Let's direct the money to the people who really need it to live securely in their older years. Second, we've been over-indexing this. Cost of living is not index. It's not what they do. They've been raising it with the wages in the economy. They're not simply protecting the benefit against inflation. If we do that, that will once again reserve a lot of money for the people who need it. And finally, we've got to raise the retirement age in the future, not the people right now, but those who are coming, to get back in alignment with actuarial realities. When Social Security started, very few people lived past 65. And now, of course, life expectancy is at all-time levels. People want to, in many cases, and we're going to need in the future, people to work longer, take money out for fewer years than there's currently scheduled to.
Okay. So these are great ideas. We've heard versions of them before. Very quickly, 30 seconds. How do we get our elected representatives to actually confront this problem?
I'm afraid it's going to take a catastrophe. In just a few years, when it runs out, the law says, okay, the law has a self-correcting mechanism. When there's no money left in the trust fund, we'll just cut everybody's benefits 28%.
Yeah.
Politicians of both parties, I have to keep stressing, who have procrastinated and fudged and ignored this problem won't be able to ignore that. Now, we might have a crunch before we get there. A mature, self-governing nation would be able to make a grown-up decision about this. We'd be able to have a conversation that says, look, folks, these are great programs. We got to save the safety net. Our promises have outstripped the money that we have to pay for them. So let's make some adjustments now so we don't have to do something terribly wrenching and unfair a few years from now. But we've let a lot of years go by when we could have done that. And the closer you get to the edge of the cliff, the more severe the changes you're going to have to make. And that's just too bad. It doesn't speak well of our political class or even us as a society.
All right. You're a really busy guy, so we need to let you go. But I hope that you will come back because I have a lot of questions about the debt.
Well, I've got a few answers, but we'll save them for some other day.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much, Governor. I really appreciate it. My thanks again to Mitch Daniels. And folks, before you get on with the rest of your week, I want to point you to a special resource in this week's issue of IBJ. As you know, Indianapolis is poised to add another line in its record book this weekend as it hosts the men's NCAA Final Four and the Division II, Division III, and National Invitational Tournament championship games. This week's paper includes a dedicated section for the Final Four titled The Tip-Off, packed with stories and features about all of the events and the people who are making them happen. You can find the tip-off in the latest print edition of IBJ or online at IBJ.com. I will say it's quite a bit easier to access all the latest business news and all of IBJ's data on Central Indiana's business community and economy if you're a subscriber. We're running a promotion right now that gives you complete access for $1 per week for 3 months, just to get a sense of how valuable and original our content is. Just go to IBJ.com and click on the subscribe button. And thanks again for making time this week for the IBJ podcast. I'm Mason King. Hang in there, everybody. We'll be back again next week.
From breaking news to in-depth articles, discover the advantage of the unlimited access to all news from IBJ and Inside Indiana Business with our limited time trial. Get started now at IBJ.com/trial offer.
Do you want to know what really drives change in Indiana? You won't find it in sound bites, you'll find it in stories. Stories from CEOs, lawyers, coaches, entrepreneurs, and community advocates. That's the IBJ Media Podcast Network. Insightful, local, impactful. Find all of our shows by searching IBJ Media in your podcast app or visit IBJpodcast.com.